everyone. If you're new here, hi, I'm Zahra. If you are coming back to my channel, thank you for coming back. And yeah, this is my channel. I started it as a medical student and now I am a doctor. Let me sit a bit more comfortable and let me get closer. Apologies, I'm so far away. But yes, last week I released a video saying I'd be coming back, and here I am. I've committed. And I promise we're not always going to be filming in this location. Hopefully not for the rest of the day as well, because I plan to do some activities. But I have been documenting my journey up until the final year of medical school, and then kind of stopped for a year because things got really hectic, and I am back after completing 1 year of working as a doctor, a resident doctor. So a lot of catch up is overdue, and hopefully I will continue with this video, making and releasing videos. I don't know for how long, and even if I don't release it to the world and it's just private or unlisted, I still want to be able to make these videos. I had a lot of fun rewatching these videos that I'd made and seeing how far I'd come. Oh my god, there's a spider on my window. I just can't tell what side it's on. I reckon it's on my side. Oh bloody hell. I know I'm right. It's on my side. I don't know how to get rid of it, and the window is closed. Amazing. But yes, this morning it is 10 a.m. and I am sick, and that is why I didn't go in today. Today is Monday, 4th of August. It is officially my final day as a doctor, as an F1 doctor, so junior, like a resident doctor, because we moved away from the term junior doctor. And I didn't go in because I feel unwell. So we're going to count my on-call days as my final days. Funnily enough, I did go to a theatre list yesterday over the weekend, which was really, really good. And oh my god, I almost died because I couldn't speak. and I was at one point I got yelled at, and I, like, you know, when you've got the wet sock in your throat, and that versus all the mucus from my like upper airway tract infection, it was a lot. But then I got over it. So yeah, here I am. That was a bit of oversharing. 3 minutes into the video. But yes, hi, I am back. I wanted to talk to you guys about how the past year had been. I wanted to take you guys along with me for today because I plan to go home. If this is the first video watching, like, of me coming back, then you'll know that the scenery has changed, and that's because I've moved out. I've moved to a town that's closer to my hospital, but it isn't necessarily the town or city that my hospital that I work in is in, because I didn't want to bump into patients and I just didn't want to see anyone I knew. So there's that. And staying in my home city was just too far of a commute for me, is what we have learned in my second rotation, which is trauma and orthopedics as well as vascular, which required me to do nights and on-calls and long days, and it got very, very difficult to be driving an hour plus home after doing a 12-hour night shift or a 12-hour day shift and be expected to come in the next day. So then moving out was a very easy decision in that sense. Difficult to find a place because this town doesn't really have a lot of apartments to rent. I'm very, very, very lucky that I got into a new build apartment, and it's in a beautiful location, and I hope to stay here up until I finish F2, which is foundation year 2, resident doctor programming year whatever 2, and then hopefully apply to core surgical training, which is the route I want to go down. Hence why I went to a theatre list over the weekend, and I continue to go to theatre lists on my free days, because I love the theatrical operating room rush. I have so much adrenaline when I go in there, and it just feels like home. I feel so comfortable there. It's all I want to do. It feels like a different side of the hospital. I don't know how to say it, or best to describe it. I think if you're a operating room junkie like me, then you get it, and if you don't, then you probably hate the operating room, which I understand, which is fair, because a couple of my friends do not like theatres and do not like the operating room buzz, which is cool. But every time I'm there, I'm like, this is all I want to do. This is all I ever want to do. And it was very, very difficult to me sort of at the end of final year as a medical student, knowing what path I wanted to take, and I kind of went into every rotation trying to learn as much as possible, and I still will continue to do that throughout my career. My outlook is I just want to learn, which is a very, very healthy outlook, and it also prevents burning out. Unfortunately, I am extremely burnt out at this moment in time. I've not been really doing my hobbies and not really been doing things and eating well and looking after myself, and this video honestly is kind of like holding me accountable, and hopefully the next rotation also will hold me accountable. But yeah, so before I just start rambling, let me like structure this out a bit more better. This video is going to be a slightly disorganized. I don't really edit my videos, I just kind of talk at the camera and then put it out into the universe, because I don't like editing and I don't really know how to do it properly. Yeah. So firstly, let's talk about what my year as doctoring has been like. Guys, I'm going to be sipping my coffee also because sore throat, I need something warm. So my first year as a doctor has been very eventful. There's so much to learn and it's such a big curve from being a medical student. But I don't think there's anything the medical school could have done further to prepare me for this. It was always going to be like this. It was always going to be a shock. There's no easy transition into it, and I'm very lucky that I was my first rotation was in acute medicine, and in my hospital we were surrounded by so many seniors. I had at all times 3 registrars and 5 seniors, so SHOs, so people who are senior than me, around me at all times, and the consultants were either always on the ward or just in the office, which was on the ward too. So it was, because it's such an acute environment, but because it was so well supported, I felt like I grew up so well into the transition of medical student to F1. Still struggled a bit, but the transition was a lot more easier for me compared to my colleagues who were thrown into different rotations where there was no seniors and it was just them being asked to do ward rounds and do all these things that they didn't feel qualified for at the beginning, but you just crack on and you have to do it. So I was very, very lucky. Medicine, unfortunately, isn't something I want to do, but I did learn a lot. I learned a lot about how to read and interpret real life scans. I think in medical school, especially for finals, and as you revise, you look up scans on Google and you sort of pick out what you can see. But you're kind of going into it knowing what it is. So I'd be like, oh, what's a pleural effusion chest X-ray like? And I'd annotate it accordingly. But when you're just seeing a patient, you take a history, you see a scan result, having to look at it, interpret it, and then speak to a senior and ask them to give you feedback on the way that you're interpreting it and so forth is very humbling, but also so good for learning, because I've got my own performer, things that work for me, and now I'm going to be having to put that into the real world and get some real results, and actually not just get the results and be like, okay, correct answer, Zahra, what are you going to do next? No, I have to actually make a management plan, and I have to make a management plan that's according to the patient. They might already be on the correct medications, and the medications aren't working, so what are you going to do? Who are you going to refer them to? That sort of thing, which was a very big learning curve. I did a lot of referring to other specialties, so getting familiar with phone calls and talking to your seniors and colleagues in other specialties. Mostly it's usually registrars and consultants that you're talking to, which is very, very scary and very, very humbling, because they're so niche and they know so much about their specialty. So you need to make sure that you're asking your patient the correct questions so that you get the correct information so you can relay it to them. But yeah, I feel like I've been talking at the camera for so long. I'm so sorry. This is going to be a very long chit chat video. I should have probably told you that at the beginning. So grab a coffee, just sit and yap with me, and please just accept this. This is what the channel is going to be like. It's going to be a lot of yapping, some activities, but a lot of yapping. Yeah, that was acute medicine for me, and then we got into trauma and orthopedics, which at the beginning was so difficult for me because there was something difficult going on in my life, but also work related. I was thrown into a surgical specialty with no seniors and no a proper sit down, oh, this is what's expected of you. We did have induction, but in acute medicine I got to shadow an F1. So I kind of I followed him around for 2-3 days. So I kind of was okay, so I know that this is the way we do it. This is where the things are. This is where the tray are. This is what's expected of me. This isn't. Whereas when you're thrown into the rotations going forth and forever in my career, I won't get that opportunity to shadow someone. I'll just be oh shit, I'm just going to do this because this is what it says in my induction plan or whatever, and this is what the nursing team are requesting of me. So that was very, very difficult. I had never done ward rounds by myself, completely by myself, and I was expected to. And I think I started off on a shift pattern, which was twilight or evening. So I'd start in about 1 p.m. or was it 12 p.m.? like at lunchtime and then finish around 8 or 9 p.m. And that was a very weird shift pattern for me because I've never done it before. Even as a medical student, I don't think I've done that particular shift pattern. And during that time period, you've got an overlap of like all the doctors going home at 4 o'clock for trauma and orthopedics. So you're getting handed over so much jobs, and why I struggled was there was no senior with me. There was just the on-call team, and there was usually supposed to be 2 doctors who were doing my shift pattern. Me, a very junior doctor, and someone who's a bit more senior, and kind of knows the ropes. But unfortunately, it was at a time where it was towards Christmas, and there was a lot of annual leave, a lot of sick leave. So I was by myself, and I was struggling a lot. And yeah, so, but that was, in a way, that was really good for me because my following rotations was surgery, and a lot, like so many of my colleagues were struggling with the pace of things who had not done surgery before. They couldn't understand how A, quick the ward on is, B, you just need to get on and just do things, C, lunch is not always guaranteed, you just need to get on with it, which isn't a healthy thing to say and way to be doctoring. But also it is a sad and true reality. Like sometimes lunch isn't guaranteed, and sometimes lunch is at 3 p.m. and you go home at an hour late. Like that's just the way it is, because you put patients first and you do care ultimately. Not to say that if you take lunch and you go on time that you don't care, you do care, but sometimes it's just you just know that like you have to do this, and then things just drag on, and then you get pestered and be told, oh please can you do this, and this is an emergency, and you're like, you can't really say no to an emergency. So that sort of thing. So I was struggling at the beginning of trauma and orthopedics, and then I joined a clinic, and then I joined theatres, and I was like, whoa, like this is actually really, like I'm really getting into this. And then, which mind you, I probably should say on the background of this, in medical school, trauma and orthopedics was my favourite block to learn. So in year 2 when we did MSK, that was my favourite. It felt like proper medicine to me. And then, well, very early on, before we did all the other conditions. And then in medical school, I had to shadow trauma and orthopedics in somewhere called a town called Kettering. I'm going to say it now. It's a town called Kettering that I worked in. And the team was so close-knit, very scary. And my supervisor was a trauma and orthopedics consultant, and he was really funny, but he was very good at teaching, very straightforward. And I really got on with my seniors. I learned a lot in trauma and orthopedics in medical school, and when I was shadowing, and it was the only on-calls that I did in year 3, and I loved it. Oh my god, I loved it so much. And I figured that if I loved the on-call of a specialty, then that's gotta say something, right? Because I hate medical on-calls, guys. Medical on-calls are terrible. You will know this if you're a doctor. It is terrible. It is so difficult. But the trauma and orthopedic one was something I really, really liked, and because it's A, very adrenaline driven, but B, because it's fun. Like you see these conditions, it makes sense. You do these one part of trauma and orthopedics I really liked in medical school was examinations. I would get my seniors to watch me examine everyone. But the way that you examine can help you work out what condition it is. Well, that's what I learned in medical school anyway. In practice, I don't think I did do on-calls as a F1, as a very junior doctor, but it wasn't me doing the work, it was seniors doing the work and me sort of shadowing them. So it was back to medical school almost, and that was really fun for me again because there was no responsibility associated with it. Like nothing was truly expected of me. I was just going in there and getting paid to watch and assist with these 2 hands by requesting bloods and doing like fun little jobs. But yeah, it was really, really good. I had a really good time towards the end of it, and during that rotation as well, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to commit to. I think for me, it's a lot more easier for me to give everything and give it my all when I know for certain this is what I want to do. And towards the end of medical school, if you had watched my clips, then you'd know that I knew that I kind of wanted to go down the surgical route. I had really enjoyed A&E, specifically pediatric A&E. I had loved it. I loved it so much. I remember my friends telling me, Zahra, like, you really need to go into A&E. I was like, yeah, I will. And then, but I was like conflicted because I love surgery so much and I love the theatre room. Sorry, that's not me. That's a track farting. It's just be like pausing, like it's stopping. That's just really bad brain pads. Anyway, and then during my trauma and orthopedics rotation, I was like, okay, I'm going to actually give surgery a proper go, final go, and I'm going to maybe pursue ear, nose, throat, because it's a soft girl surgical rotation job, and I really do like the nose, and I'm okay with the ears, but I don't really like the throat, but I still want to give it a go. And I did, and I really love rhinology, and I would go to rhinology lifts on my days off. And I figured, yeah, this is what I want to do. But ENT as a specialty is not just the nose, it's ears, nose, and throat. And I'd gone to a couple of thyroid surgeries and did not enjoy them. I absolutely, actually, forgive me, hated it. And I was in there thinking, God, I wish I'd joined the trauma and orthopedics theatre list instead of this. And I was like, yeah, I can appreciate the nose and still go into something else. So, and whilst I've been on trauma and orthopedics, I have never, even though it's so strenuous, never thought I want to be anywhere else but here. And I go there on my days off and my time's off. So yeah. So from there, sort of like towards the middle to end of trauma and orthopedics, I was like, this is what I want to commit to. So I've been knuckling down on the portfolio and trying to get as many points wherever I can. And I'm very, very, very lucky that I have so many seniors who have helped me, and so many friends as well, and the grades above me who have helped me and like sat me down and properly given me chats and properly given me advice on how to improve my portfolio and how to get as many points as possible, blah blah blah. This isn't like, I appreciate that some of my followers aren't medical, so this might be a bit boring, which fair, skip this video. But I might in the future do a video about my portfolio I pray I get in first time round into a great core surgical training program, hopefully a trauma and orthopedically themed one, but yes, regardless, a core surgical training program. But I will do that if and hopefully when I get in. But yeah, so we're in trauma and orthopedics, my second rotation, and I should probably say we have 3 rotations in the year, and then we're going towards my final rotation in the year, which is a vascular rotation. Vascular for me as a medical student was a rotation that I never experienced, because in the hospital I was in, Kettering at that time did not have a vascular department. It was just managed by the cardiology department, so I had 0 experience in vascular, like real life vascular conditions, and never in my medical school life have I seen a real vascular condition. I've never seen an amputation, I've never seen a real diabetic foot infection, I've never seen anything crazy. Fast forward to studying vascular and it being honestly, I feel like vascular was the biggest learning curve for me, because so much was expected of me as well as a junior, like taking down wound dressings, taking photographs of the wounds and uploading on different sites. When you're discharging patients, like there's a certain schedule you have to follow in terms of them getting scans at certain times. And honestly, I feel like at the beginning specifically, none of this, again, you don't shadow anyone, so you don't really teaches you this. It's just a senior walking by and catching you and being like, oh, make sure that you do that. And you're like, yeah, I will. How do I do that? Because I haven't done that for the past 10 patients, stuff like that, which hopefully the secretaries have caught on, or patients have to come back anyway. And there's another system that catches them, just not me. But yeah, oh my God, it was such a massive learning curve. The conditions that I've never seen before, smells that I've never experienced before, gruesome, gory things, and patients. It's interesting because from the medical perspective, we see, whether anyone in healthcare sees very gruesome, gory things, and it's kind of like, okay, well, this is the job, right? But then when it's on patients and it's on their body and they have to live with it and see it and they're okay with it too, it's so interesting. It's such a very interesting dynamic. Because I know when I had a little abscess here, which it wasn't, it didn't need to be drained or anything, it popped by itself, but it's basically a infection spot. I was going through it, and whenever I cut myself, when I'm cooking, I think I had a cut on my little finger somewhere a couple of weeks ago. Man, I'm the biggest whip. I'm oh my God, I know what structures it's gone through. I know the nerves are damaged. Oh my God, everything. And for patients to be like, oh, I've got a hole in my foot and I'm okay with it. Actually, cool. Yeah, me too. It actually really humbles you and makes me really oh no, this is so normal. But yeah, that was a very difficult rotation. Thank God though that it was a surgical rotation and not medical rotation, because I would have to kill myself. I really hate medicine. not medicine the topic, but actually like working in general medicine, it took everything out of me, and vascular almost took everything out of me too, especially towards the end. But that's because it's a combination of being burnt out, completing first year, and also like just surgical portfolio related stuff. But yeah, as a rotation, I'm glad I did vascular as a junior and not a senior. I'm glad I got exposed to it because it's the only topic within medicine surgery that I've never had any exposure to as a medical student. Just textbooks and videos is how I learned about vascular conditions in school. So it's very nice to see them in person and see the actual impact of it. And it's the only rotation that like occupational therapists and physiotherapists that I've seen that we've had to work really quite close with them, because these patients quite often are amputees, double amputees, and it changes their whole life completely, and it changes the way they live, how they live, where they live. A lot of these patients are with us for a very long time because they can't return home, unfortunately. Just where the house is and the inability to make adjustments around it. It's very, very sad. It's very, very humbling, but a lot was learned. It is definitely the most difficult operations I've seen. It's so nitpicky. It's so minuscule, the operations, and they're very, very long, and I give them the flowers. They are amazing. The operating surgeons that I was with, so the consultants and the regs, were so amazing, so patient, so good at what they do. And yeah, I had a good time in terms of learning. I learned a lot on vascular surgery, but it kind of solidified that this is absolutely something I don't want to do, and I'm glad I did it and I got exposed to it, but I don't want to do it. So yeah, that was a 20-minute talk about my rotations. If we talk about my life, hello guys, we're in a new location because during trauma orthopedics is when I moved out. I have moved into my own apartment. I will do an apartment tour. It is very clean actually, because it's always clean, but it's particularly extremely clean because I have been preparing mentally for F2, so the start of my new year, and as a doctor. So I'm like clean space, clean mind, starting off fresh. But yeah, so in terms of life, I've moved out. I actually adopted 2 kittens. They used to live with me in this apartment, and it's very big, cute, small apartment. And then they still live with me, but they live in my family home back in my home city, because I couldn't look after them, unfortunately, as well as I would have liked to. It got a lot, and I was away for many hours, and they require, at that small age, they require so much attention, and it was just, the smell was getting to me, unfortunately. And no matter how long I left the windows open and how often I'd be changing their poo, because they poo so much and they pee so much, God, and I'd be having to wash and hoover my floors every single day. And this was like 6 a.m. I'd wake up and I'm like, God, why do you have to pitter-patter with your little wet feet all over my ground? And I'd have to clean up the floor. And bless them, like, they're just kittens, they're not doing anything wrong. And then when I came back from work after a 12-hour shift, I'd be home around 9 and be like, oh my God, I've done those again, guys. And I have to do that, and then shower, and then no time for eating. And I think my whole routine, and I was like, I'm not looking after myself. If I'm not looking after myself well, I'm not looking after my patients well, I'm not looking after my kittens well. So it's probably healthier and better for me if they live with my mother. And they did, bless them. And I go to see them almost every day, because I go home a lot on my days off. So I'll be going home today, hopefully, and I'll see them. And they grow, and they've grown so much. They're about 7-8 months now. They're massive, they're cute. They still remember me and recognize me as their mother. They lived with me for about a month. And also at home, it's a big house, and they've got the garden, they've got 3 other cats that they can play with, as well as my siblings and my mother. So they're having a great time, guys. They don't miss me, they don't care about me, but they do come up to me. They don't care about me, which is fine, I can accept that. I will be taking them back, hopefully next August, because that's when I finish year 1 of my whole foundation program, so year 1 and year 2 of doctoring, and that's when I'll be hopefully moving on to core surgical training. But again, that will depend on where I go. If I'm in a apartment in London, maybe you can't get my kittens, but if I'm in a apartment in Scotland or in somewhere else where it's not so hectic and then probably yes. I probably need that extra help, that extra bit of sanity around me. But yeah, so moved houses, apartments, have new kittens, made new friends at this job. Unfortunately, I have not met them outside of work, and that is me. A lot of it is me. They do make plans. I just have a lot of allergies, so I can't actually meet them halfway at like cafes. Not cafes, sorry, restaurants, which is what they do often, which is fair because what way to de-stress from eating, from work by eating, like, oh, that didn't make sense, but what I meant is the way to de-stress for a lot of people is meeting in social environments like restaurants, especially because none of my friends drink, so it's not like bars or pubs we go to. I don't drink as well because I'm Muslim. So yeah, made friends, haven't met them outside social environments, so that's on me as well because I could be suggesting like cafes. It's just logistically I'd have to go to their city, which is fine. But yeah, and our timetables never really align, so the only times we properly meet is during lunches and on Snapchat where we just catch up, and yeah, sometimes we do after work bubble runs actually, so that was a lie, we do meet up, just not that often. In terms of meeting up with my old friends and the people that ground me and are my home, I think I can, outside of helping them practice for revision, I think I've only met them 3 times or twice even, which is very, very, very sad and probably not something I would have expected 2 years ago when I was filming my medical school videos. Because at that time, they're people that I would see every weekend and every week for revision or just hangouts. It's so interesting how you go from seeing people every day to seeing them once or twice a year. And every time you see them, it's like everything has changed, everyone's moved on. But yeah, it's really, really sad. But every time I see them, I feel very, very grateful and I'm very, very happy to see them. I try and maintain contact by texting, but unfortunately, I'm not a great texter. I do really like calling people and like talking to them in real life and seeing them. But also, it's kind of fun and refreshing to see them after a while and be like, oh my god, you're a completely different person in a different part in your life. And yeah, I think this is what growing up is supposed to be like. I'm very lucky that I stayed in my home city for my college as well as my secondary school and university. So I was always in close contact with my friends. But now we're at a place where we're not. I've moved out, I've moved away, they're moving away. So maintaining that friendship is work, but it's good work and it's great work. And going forward, especially because on this website, on this channel, I talk about my seasons. It's something that I will be talking about in my next video where I discuss my seasons. But yeah, this is something I'd probably want to incorporate more in my life. Yeah, I've been babbling for about half an hour. I need to stop. I need to warm my coffee. I need to get a crack on. I need to go back to my home city, see my mum, see my cat, see my sisters, and get better, get some fix because my throat is scratching and hurting, and upload this video. For those who have stayed, truly thank you. Thank you for also not harassing me and bombarding me and saying, Zahra, where have you gone? My 2 followers, thank you. And thank you for being patient and watching my comeback and listening to this very long video. Hopefully you put it on somewhere, put it on a desk, and then walked away and did some other stuff. I should probably make a podcast instead of making videos, but I just really like seeing you guys and I like being tangible and I like videoing myself aging. But yeah, if you like my stuff, then like, comment, subscribe. I haven't said that in so long. I forgot to say in my previous video as well, but like, comment, subscribe. Do what you need to do. Don't if you don't want to. I will probably pop up every now and then. I will hopefully release more videos, but it was really nice catching up. It was really nice talking to you guys for half an hour. Whilst we've spoken, the spider has now transcended. It has gone down and it is 100% on my side of the window. I will not kill it. I will let it roam around my apartment and bite me because that's what spiders do. But until next time,